Welcome to Discuss With Us podcast, where we are unpacking the world through a Christian lens. I am your host, Darcy Durkowski, along with my husband, Brian, and our intention is to pose topics, trending and otherwise, and unpack them with the help of some research, insights from our different backgrounds, and even some listener input in a way that is thought-provoking and entertaining. So get comfortable, grab your favorite beverage, and discuss with us.
Welcome back to another episode of Discuss With Us. Darce, how you doing?
I'm tired.
You should be revived. We took a day off.
Oh, from podcasting.
Yeah.
Not life, though.
No, well, yeah.
Still worked today. I didn't know what you were talking about there for a second.
We didn't do it yesterday on Sunday. We
Yeah.
did it short.
Yeah. I explained this somewhat on my Instagram, but this whole time I've had the listener's choice episode as 721. If you'd asked me that on Sunday, I was like, yeah, 721. But I did not, for whatever reason. It's like I lost time. I was in a time warp because of our vacation, I think.
Ah, yes. Summer has finally caught up with us. Well, summer, hurricanes,
Yeah.
everything. And for a while, you were really good with everything written on a calendar. And so this was like second nature, just what we were doing. And now we're out.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I had it all written out, like I said, but I even wrote a check on Sunday, the 21st, wrote out the 21st, and it still didn't occur to me until later in the morning. And I was like, wait, this is supposed to be listener's choice episode, and I haven't even done the brackets. So then we kind of talked about it, tabled that. We're going to do that next week.
Yes.
But luckily for us, we had a good homily.
Yeah, lucky for us, we went to church Sunday.
Yes, and we had a good homily that we discussed a little bit afterwards, and then Brian was like, why don't we do that as
And
the
it
topic?
played into not do an episode yesterday.
Yes. Yeah, because honestly, I feel like you and I should probably learn from what we're about to talk about.
Yes. Yes. So we're going to talk about rest
Yeah.
and how important it is. And this kind of goes along with a lot of stuff we've talked about previously, the distractions and things that even when we're quote unquote resting with air quotes, are we actually
Yes.
resting? That was kind of the theme of the homily we talked about, which if you went to church with us on Sunday, maybe we missed part of this. We have 3 kids in there, so
Yeah,
not
you're gonna have
positive
to.
that I caught all this.
Yeah, you're gonna have to kind of lead the charge on.
Well, I don't. I
on
can't
the
really
homily
lead the
because
charge much on the homily. I caught about that much of it. I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And that was it.
yeah, we had one that said I have to go potty. Took a long time.
2 that did that.
I know, and then I was gonna say, then I brought him back, and the other one said I have to go potty. Took him, came back, and then the little one said mommy, and just wanted to be in the back. So usually you walk him around. I actually
Yeah,
took
you
him
got
in the
your
back.
steps in this time.
I did.
Lucky you.
So I missed most of the homily, but I did catch part of the story that he's told, which I feel like I've heard that story before, maybe from Father Alvarado or maybe from somebody else.
Which story?
The lumberjack story.
Now, see, I missed that part.
Oh, well, see, we complement each
There
other.
we
I can tell that story here. How do you want to start this off, though?
I want to hear the lumberjack story now.
Okay, right to it. I gotta see if I can tell this correctly. Okay, I'm gonna do my best,
All right.
and just keep in mind that I was picking this up in pieces. But so this man goes to work as a lumberjack. He's a beginner lumberjack. He's paired up next to an experienced.
I remember it now.
Okay. Well, then now you're going to be able to correct me, which I don't know if I like that. But anyway.
I was like, what lumberjack story are we talking about? Now I remember it. Okay.
So he gets paired with an experienced, older lumberjack who's been in
Mhm.
the business for a long time. And So the first day he's watching and trying to keep up with the old lumberjack,
Mm-hmm.
and can't quite do it. So the next day he's more determined than ever. I'm going to keep up with him. So he just pushes himself harder. Still can't keep up with the old lumberjack. So keeps going. On the third day, he's like, all right, I'm going to cut down on my breaks
Mm-hmm.
and try to keep up with the older lumberjack. End of the third day, and he still is being outdone by the old lumberjack. So the next day, he says, I'm just going to cut my breaks out altogether. And so he just works straight through, looks up at the end of the day, and the old lumberjack still has him beat.
Mm-hmm.
So I should pause at this point in the story because I feel like both times that I've heard this story, I feel like I know where it's going. Where it's like, oh well, slow and steady wins the race, right?
Yeah, right.
Um, and you're thinking like, oh well, the younger lumberjack is gonna burn himself out and not be able to go on the fifth day. Maybe that's where this is headed, which has its own points and would be perfectly fine. But I like how this actually ends. So on the fifth day, he finally says, okay, I have cut out my breaks. I work all day long and I still can't keep up with you. And you're taking breaks. How do you do it? And the old lumberjack laughs and he says, well, you see me sitting and taking breaks and you think I'm just resting. But as I rest, I'm sharpening my axe so that when I go
Exactly.
back out there, it is efficient. I'm efficient.
Yeah, and he tells him, I am taking breaks, but
Yeah.
also, while I
Mm-hmm.
am taking the break, I'm sharpening my tool.
Yes.
No, yeah. I when we heard it, I actually I thought it was maybe like sometimes tell an icebreaker joke or
Yeah.
whatever. And that's what I thought it was, and I thought it was going to end up that the old lumberjack was like taking wood out of the pile or something. Like, I didn't know it went on because he actually went farther than you did. He like went through like 7 days or something like
Yeah.
that, and it kept repeating, and I was like, "Wow, where are we
Where's this
going with
going?
this?" Yeah, but yeah, no. When he was like, I was sharpening my axe, I was like, "Oh, that's better."
Yes.
It kind of led into the purpose of recharging your batteries and taking a break in.
I feel like it's talking about how rest can be more than just, like a literal rest. It can help you to be sharper when you go back. So it's more beneficial
Well, and
than
the
you even
theme was like
think.
all the distractions that we use during
Yes,
our
no, and I
rest.
did. I appreciated that angle of the homily as
No,
well.
I felt like I needed that.
I was thinking of you, if I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, come on.
Because Father Everardo was talking about how when we say we're resting and taking a break, are we still, are we watching TV? Are we
Yeah.
on our phones? Are we, doing this or that? Which one of my bullet points that I made here was, you know, we're living in a world of overstimulation.
Oh, yeah. You think?
Yeah. And one of the things that I was thinking, I posed this question here in my notes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think so? Like, I feel like we say all these things, we make these proclamations like, well, our generation, this is the worst it's ever been. And
Right.
probably the generation before us said the same things. So here's my question. Do you think the phones are, how much worse do you think the phones are than TV?
Significantly, because they're with you all the time.
That's a good point.
Like TV, you're talking about like TV historically or like
Yeah.
side by side today? Yeah, because really doesn't matter. Like you have to go. You may even have like people have more TVs now. Like you may have a TV in every room,
Mm-hmm.
but you still stuff to get like the remote out and stuff like everyone has their phone like in their pocket.
Yeah.
And if you don't, and like you have to add in like the Apple Watches and
Oh,
stuff,
I
and like
agree.
if you're not even carrying your phone, you still have your phone on
I
your
know.
wrist.
I've been missing my watch for the better part of a week now because I left it on vacation.
It's hard not having that too,
And
huh?
the first couple of days I glanced down at it all the time, and now I'm perfectly fine without it. which is similar to, remember when I cut off the notifications to my
Yes.
Apple Watch and all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You just realize afterwards, like, wow, that was
Hmm.
taking a lot of my time. So yeah, I agree with you. I didn't even think about the angle that you're looking at, which is they're on you all the time.
Yeah.
I think more so what I was thinking about is how, when you're watching TV, typically you've got like one storyline that you
Okay.
follow. And with our phones, it's like we can't go to the next thing fast enough. Whether
It's
you're
yeah.
scrolling reels or even if you're just like for me, I know one thing I do is I open up my text messages. Have I
Hmm.
missed a message? Then it's my email. Then
Oh yeah,
it's,
you're one of those clear the notification
well,
things.
yeah, but I just end up, even if there's not notifications, I end up like going through all of them. But yes, you're right. A lot of it is clearing notifications. But my point is I kind of like
Just gotta let that go.
I skip from like one app to the next. I scroll Facebook until I'm not getting, something
Till
out
the
of it.
algorithm messes up.
Exactly, till the algorithm messes up, and then I exit that and go to Instagram, and then I go back and forth.
Start that whole process over.
Yeah, exactly.
Shoot, I do that while I watch TV.
No, that's true. We do that too. Um, and so it made me think of. Do you remember when I'm trying to think of which trip it was. Oh, I know. When we were hauling the camper to Arkansas.
Okay.
And
Yep.
when we go on long trips like that, we'll break a tablet out and
Hmm.
mount it in the truck for the boys to watch some TV with.
Yes.
Um, and so for this one, so for ours, for the iPad, we have to like download, whatever they're going to watch
Yeah.
typically.
Hmm.
And so we had downloaded like a series of episodes for like probably Dino Trucks or something like
Oh yeah,
that.
now I know what you're gonna say.
And and so we turned that on and it was working. They were glued to it. They liked it. Um but finally you and I, cuz we're sitting in the front seat, but it's right behind us, right?
Right.
And finally you and I were just like, "Okay, we've got to do something different." And so you put a movie on
Hmm.
and I instantly, as soon as the movie started, I instantly felt so much relief
Yeah, they have those
compared.
theme. You know what's weird? Sidebar: the songs, like the theme music for everything these days. Same with commercials. Like when you're watching television, it's like they're louder
Yeah.
than the show. And so those shows, especially kid shows, when there's no commercials, they're like 17-minute episodes or something like that. So and they were kid shows. It may have even been less.
Yeah.
It may have been like 12. So like every 12 minutes, it was just getting super loud going to the
That,
next
but
one.
I think there was also just so much going on in all of the scenes because of just the way the shows are set up, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah,
And
that's true too.
yeah, there was like all this, noise and dialogue back and forth, and it was just so much that not even watching it, you and I think probably because we weren't watching it and following it, you and I were just like, whoa, this is too much. And I think we put Cars on.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And okay, first of all, really underrated.
Movie holds up.
Yeah, it does. um, but we put that on, and it was like everything calmed down so significantly because I think with movies and like the time that's put into the production of movies, it all
Hmm.
flows so much better.
Yeah.
And because of that, the only way I can describe it is like the stimulation was less. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah, I think it calmed them too. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Calmed me.
I know, me too. So that was that. I don't know. That made kind of an impact on me, or kind of like made me realize, golly, some of this stuff that we watch or that the kids watch, even though it's perfectly innocent, some of
Hmm.
it has good lessons, or like Blaze is a good one. I feel like there's a lot of things that the kids learn from Blaze,
Yeah.
but like that's all the shows are just really,
I think a lot of those shows have like music in the background. Like I'm thinking about
yeah.
there's music going during
There's
the
just
show
so
too.
much. There's just so much stimuli. Um, and I think
People
it
without
has,
kids are like, what?
yeah. I think it has just made our attention span that much shorter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's where like
That's scary.
the Instagram and the TikTok and
Yeah.
stuff like that is creepy because it's like it really has. Like
Yeah.
you don't realize it. You would sit there and be like, even we were watching a show today that had commercials
Mhm.
before we came up here, and I was sitting there just like, and it was 90 seconds of commercials, and I was like, that's probably less than network TV.
Oh, definitely.
But we don't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there just like, oh my God, hurry up. Um, like literally just 20 minutes ago, I was thinking that. And it is crazy. We don't realize how conditioned we are to it now.
I know. So that all of this sidebar
Yeah.
stuff to say that like there's so much stimuli out there. Our brains are constantly like going from one thing to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think there is an aspect like when you do add kids in
Yeah.
of all the things that you're taking care of with them and there's constant dependency on you that it is hard to rest.
Yeah. Well, and that was the thing is, it's kind of the point of the homily, and we'll get to there's one good passage
Yeah.
scripturally we found of it. But when you get there, um, just so we're gonna, and it's important to talk about like what we're putting in the way of us actually getting rest,
Yeah.
but also like why you need it to, sharpen that tool. Like if we're not
Right.
actually doing proper rest, then it's like you have so much going on and you're just not ever getting back zeroed out. And so then how much are you actually even
Yeah.
putting in
Yeah.
on the other side?
Yeah. And I think it can look different ways. I don't think that all rest has to necessarily be absent of all stimuli.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was thinking of, there's been Sundays where we don't have anything going on, and we don't. I wouldn't say that we like sit on the back porch and stare out at the the view
I
or
don't know that we've
anything.
ever done that.
Yeah. But even just like laying on the couch watching football for most of the day with the boys just kind of running in and out, no schedule, no,
Yeah.
nothing like that. I think that can be a good version of rest. But then there's also times that I find that I have to tell myself at the end of the day, like, okay, put your phone down. It's time to go to sleep now. And it's like 11 o'clock and
Yeah.
I haven't even sat. Like at that point where we have to check ourselves is like the boys have been asleep
Mm-hmm.
for 3-ish hours hopefully, and I'm sure in that time we've eaten supper and stuff, but like how else are we healthy resting, if
Well,
you
no,
will?
yeah, like that's again, this is gonna keep coming back to the same thing, but because spoiler alert, your phone's a big one.
Yeah.
But like, how many times do you sit down? Like, if you're at work and you're taking a break, or the kids are down or
Hmm.
whatever, how many times do you sit down and not just pull the phone out?
Oh yeah,
I,
it's
I don't
terrible.
know that I can. I don't. I honestly don't know if I can think of any time
Yeah, I
that I
know.
don't just. It's second nature. It's like part of us now. It's like, oh, I sat down. Let me flip the phone out.
It
Like,
is. Yeah.
and we talk about it because we're on, and most people are. You're on your phone or computer for um, most of your job. Both of us have highly communicated jobs, so it's
Yeah.
like you're constantly.
You don't really check out or clock out. I
Yeah.
feel like kind of like people used to. We talked about this on one of our episodes where it's
Yeah.
like you wake up and you're checking your email and stuff. Like
Exactly.
you don't spend your breakfast, your morning time, like we used to.
No.
It's
Exactly.
already you're checking your email, you're doing all this and that, you're texting people to let them know you're on the way or like what time you're going to be there, and then it doesn't end at 5 either typically. And we're not the only ones with that. I think that's how most people are.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. And like for me, even if I'm not on social media, I'm like doing something.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
and that's the thing is like, we've got it, we've got work on our phones and all this stuff. And then we choose when we do have time, when we're checked out of all that, we still revert to our phones.
I know. I was like, you know what? I need to do one of these like technology
Little cleanses.
cleanses.
Yeah. No,
Like just on a weekend, just turn your phone off and leave it.
yes. Well,
Like,
and
cause I could do just the phone. Like, leave
hmm
TV alone, leave anything else alone. Just like leave my phone for a whole weekend.
yeah. When we, when
I
we
don't know if you
were,
could do it. I might die.
when we were, participating in Lent, I think
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the things that I did that I tried to make sure I did was like when work was over and stuff, I'd go plug my phone in and try to leave it there until bedtime, which was really hard. I'd go back and check it and stuff. But you can more quickly than you think cut the habits, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, it's I was thinking this today. I almost feel like this is what makes time almost feel like it's like fleeting even faster now.
Oh yeah.
Is and people talk about this all the time. And look, that's an age thing, right? Like as you get older, it
Yeah.
seems like the time moves more quickly. But with kids and everything. But I'm also saying like legitimately, it seems like it moves faster. But it's because we don't. It's why it's gross looking at how long you're on apps and
Oh
phone usage
yeah.
and stuff like that. Because you look and it's like, oh, you spent 2 hours a day scrolling. Well, guess what? You couldn't scroll 15 years ago. So that's 2 hours of your life that you never were able to spend doing that in the past.
Yes. Yes.
We need to go back to flip phones. I'm deciding this right now.
I know it is. It's something we wanted to talk about this with rest, but then you crack it open and you're like,
Yeah,
ugh.
it's like there's a whole, and we've done this episode halfway before already.
Yeah, I
Now it's
know
back.
it comes
But
up.
look, it's full circle. This was like very it kind of hit me when we were in church because I have been very busy with work. So have you,
Yeah.
the last like 2 weeks, and so I've been like, if I was on a diagram, I'd say like my stress level is like above my nose right now, just below the eyes. Um, if you want a color chart to fill it in. And so I was like, on the verge of anxiety of like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to make it through all this. And it's like back to school's
Mm-hmm.
quickly approaching. It's already August. So like you compound the work with like the other events going on, and we've had stuff to do on the weekends. And it's just like, man, I don't even know how we're going to mow the grass.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
and
then they
so
started
this
talking
is
about
another
rest
good
at
point.
church.
Yeah, this is another good point that I wanted to make too, because we're sitting here talking about how bad our phones are and even like TV and stuff like that. But it's not all that. I think sometimes, and I know we're not the only ones that get into this. Sometimes we don't rest when we should. We are like, oh, well, we have 10 minutes of free time. Let's go get the weed eater out, and we're
Yeah.
working on, and I'm not saying that that's unhealthy, like it has to be done. A lot of this stuff has to be done. But
Mm-hmm.
there are also times where we are rushing to get projects done or start projects or work on something um, where we maybe should prioritize rest.
Yeah. And so before we go, because we'll inevitably go back to the phone stuff, um, read Mark 6 for where we were
Yes.
getting this from, and let's at least hit the.
Yeah. So this was the gospel reading from whence our homily we're discussing
Yes.
came. So it's Mark 6:30. And I don't know how long it went, so I'm just going to read for a little bit. Um, okay, let me set the scene too. So, or should I read it first?
Read it first and then
Okay.
do the back
Okay.
story.
The apostles returned to Jesus and told him all that they had done and taught. And he said to them, "Come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest a while." For many were coming and going, and they had no leisure even to eat. And they went away in the boat to a desolate place by themselves. Now many saw them going and recognized them, and they ran there on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. That's probably as far as it went, or does
That's
it keep
as
going?
far as you need to go for
Yeah.
this purpose,
So
anyways.
to set the scene, this is right before Jesus feeds the 5,000. So that was one. As I read this, I was like, "Oh yeah, come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest for a while."
Mm-hmm.
So kind of to the priest's point about sharpening his tool. He's about to feed 5,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
But then the other thing I was looking back on is the passage before this. Again, this is Mark 6:30. So if you back up a little bit, you get the beheading of John the Baptist
Mm-hmm.
right before that. And then also, Jesus had sent out the 12 apostles, 2 by 2, gave them authority over the unclean spirits. And so it says, they cast out many demons and anointed with oil many who were sick and healed them. So if you read all the passage before this, like the whole of Mark 6, these guys are busy and they're seeing a lot. Like I read the beheading of John the Baptist, and I was like, man, talk about stress.
Yeah.
Talk about overstimulation.
Well, and all the demons they were casting out.
No,
like,
exactly. The stuff they were seeing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
To
dealing
me,
with.
yeah, that's where it's like, and we didn't read the whole chapter in church, but going back and finding the place of that, yeah, it fully just,
Yeah.
man, we think looking at Instagram's hard.
I know. I was just thinking that we drew this picture just now as like our generation
Yeah.
dealing with the phones and overstimulation. You've got apostles casting out demons and healing the sick and
John the Baptist getting beheaded
yeah, all
for a
because
girlfriend.
yeah, all because the girl that pleased Herod, was that who it was?
Yes.
Yeah. He said, I'll give you whatever you want. I want John the Baptist's head. Okay.
Because
So-
of her mom who he had married or something.
Yeah.
His brother's widow.
Talk
It's a whole
about
weird thing.
drama
Yeah.
and
But yeah, so
stress.
we'll go biblically and then back to us. So yeah, these guys have been on, and I think the point of this is, for as prepared as they could have been with Jesus, they were still completely unprepared for that amount of stress and work, right? You're only human.
Yeah.
And so they're going through all this, and then the pivotal moment is John the Baptist gets beheaded. They know who he is, and they went and retrieved his body to give him a proper burial, and then they ran back to Jesus and were telling him all the things they'd seen,
Yeah,
done.
can you imagine?
Yeah, I was thinking, when you think of like The Chosen and stuff like that, like how like, were they lined up, or were they just standing in a circle shouting things at Jesus, like, I saw this, oh
Yeah.
man, I saw this.
Yeah, we need to get back on the Chosen train. We haven't
yeah.
watched that.
But they're just laying all this on Jesus, and he tells them, like, y'all need a little rest. And
Yeah.
because he obviously, foreshadowing, he knew what was coming.
Exactly. I like how it says, come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest a while. How nice, on a scale of 1 to 10, how nice does a desolate place sound to you most days?
Well, in the past, I would say not at all. Days like today, maybe that'd be awesome.
I don't know. I escaped to the car today to make a phone call as it was parked under the carport.
Yeah, but
like,
that's not a desolate place. Like,
it
desolate
was
does
desolate
not
to
sound-
me today.
Desolate never sounds appealing.
I don't know. Anyway, yeah. Come away by yourselves to a desolate place and rest a while. The other thing, as you continue reading this, I read through this. It says, now many saw them going and recognized them, and they ran there on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. So that made me think about how we're talking about. It's like the world is trying to do. It's like the world runs after us. The algorithms, if you will, running.
Look at you. That's a good one.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thought of it all myself. The algorithms are like running after us, like we're trying to get to this desolate place somewhere, and the algorithms are like, no.
Yeah. Hey, come look at this video.
Yeah. Oh, watch this next one.
Right.
You think that's good. You should send that to somebody.
Right.
So yeah, it looks a lot different than it did in Jesus' time, and we just talked about all this phone and TV and screens and work and all this stimuli that we're sick of, but I'll take that over heads on platters and stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
Puts it in perspective a little bit. But that kind of brings us to the point of what does good rest look like, Brian?
I think person by person, it's going to be slightly different, but kind of back to our original point, if you've had a long day and everyone's work is different, let's go with I'll just use myself as the best example I can give. So if I'm
Mhm.
on the phone doing a lot of talking, I mean, I've like talked myself hoarse throughout
Right.
days multiple times. And then if I'm coming home and when I say, I've talked to myself before, so I've made phone calls, answered emails, done text messages,
Yeah.
done in the person, just stimulation after stimulation, and then I come home and I'm instantly on the phone again. Like
Yeah.
even if you're quote unquote relaxing or before bed, you're scrolling the phone, watching TV, playing a video game, just anything,
Mhm.
not kind of because like what even when I'm driving and stuff, I'm thinking about the next thing. Okay, I did this over here. I need to schedule this, do that, and so I will take a break from the work stuff to where maybe I'm not
Yeah.
thinking about that. And that can be fine, but I
No,
think
I
the
agree.
point is like you're never when does literally until you're sleeping is your brain ever turning off. Like some of us may need some of that on the human aspect of this. We're not even at the spiritual yet.
Yeah,
Um like
that's true.
so and maybe when you're doing more manual labor all day and then you're coming straight home and you got 30 minutes of daylight left to your point, it's like okay, let me just run and go grab the weed
Yeah.
eater, and you're working till dark. Like are you actually letting your mind and your body kind of rest up and heal, to get you prepared to where you're able to give 100%? Like I said, first, just the physical and mental side of your legitimate work day and stuff like that. Are you giving yourself the ability? Because man, sometimes I'm like clocking in at like 80, 85%. You're not even at
Mhm.
100%, for your work day, or even worse, like how much are you losing for your family side of it, right?
Oh
Like, are
yeah.
you giving the kids 100% or anything like that? Are you clocking in more at 60, 65 because
Yeah.
you've just burned yourself out between Instagram and work, and
Yeah.
now you're just running on fumes until you can pass out
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
next day. But so I think, and it's different, right? Like, if you kind of said it earlier, if I'm watching like a baseball game or something,
Mhm.
football, something like that, I can legitimately feel like I'm recharging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of the time when I'm doing those things, I'm also on the phone.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing both, or
I think
maybe
a
all
lot
three. I'm talking
of
to the kids too.
yeah. I think a lot of this comes down to we should make a better concerted effort to put our phones away when we can, when we have the ability.
Yeah.
You can't do it during the workday
Hmm.
because we're pretty enslaved to it with
Yeah.
our work. So when we do have the opportunity, we should try to put them aside, is what I'm taking away from this.
Yeah, I was just thinking in my head, I was like, the main rest time I get is so I do commute a lot.
Yeah.
And like that really is driving to or from. Like I'll have the radio because again, I was like, I'll have the radio on and I'm listening to that. That's relaxing, like talk radio. It's
Mm-hmm.
relaxing to me, and I can think about things and focus. But honestly, I'm like, man, when I'm actually at home, I don't know how much there is because I'm either
Yeah.
on the phone, and not all of it's bad. I'm either hanging out
No.
with you or the kids, or that I'm on the phone,
Yeah.
um, and just like,
When
man,
you say on the phone, you're scrolling.
scrolling,
Yeah.
yes. Chatty Cathy just calling everybody I know. No, but one of those things, and probably need to focus on more active rest time.
Yeah.
Or I'm saying that weird, active rest, like
I follow
legitimate
you though.
rest,
Yeah. Like
positive
it could
rest.
yeah, it could still be like a healthy rest. You could still be maybe like you said watching a baseball game or talking or playing with me or the kids or whatever, but that would be a more restful than if you're sitting on the couch scrolling.
Yeah, and then you flip it on its head and it's like, well, what are you doing for spiritual rest and stuff like that? And
Yeah.
this had hit me even before Sunday. Because you're so stressed out, and I try to do a um, I don't even do any devotionals, anything like that. I try to take the first few minutes out of my day and the last few minutes of my day, both to thank God for another day in the morning, and then thank God for another good day, whether it was good or bad, at night. I legitimately try to do that, even if it's only like 2 to 5 minutes. That's like at the very least I should be able to do that. And I was. I was thinking the other day, I was like, oh my goodness, I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
And so very close while I was driving. And I was like really quickly trying to focus on that while I was driving. And I was like, man, how am I, like, things like that are out. And I'm like, I'm so out of whack. And I think that's also, then we got to the Sunday in the gospel. And I was like, this is a big part of it too. Like, it all kind of ties together. And I think step one is almost like making that spiritual rest also a priority, because inherently, if you're doing some of that, then you're naturally not going to be scrolling on the phone and stuff like that. And I think maybe that prayer will help give you some perseverance to not pick up the phone again later.
Yeah.
Like,
Centers you a little better.
yeah, and maybe you're not. So then,
Well,
it all kind of dominoes then.
Yeah, you're getting to the point that I was about to say, which is, recently I started the Bible in a year,
Yeah.
and I only have gotten a few days in, and I was really excited about it. Did it back to back, and then I got like off the schedule because I've been traveling and
Yeah,
stuff.
you've had to travel for real.
But what I realized is, because I was doing it either in the beginning of the day, like you said, or at night, before I went to sleep. Did it both ways a few times. And the other day I was like, okay, it's not even that late. I could pull it out and do that. But I was like so mentally exhausted because you listen to it, like you listen to the podcast and you read, and it's like I couldn't take that in because I had been
You were like
so
maxed out.
I was maxed out. So I couldn't get to the things that I would like to prioritize because I was maxed out with all the other junk.
Yeah. Been there.
So, I don't know, where are we going with this? I think rest can look differently. Like, I mean, I have told you that I get a lot of therapy, if you will, like a lot of, I don't know, the better term than therapy. My therapy is like building fires and
Yes.
even just mowing the yard. Some of that, like,
You like to be outside.
I do. Some of that, like, instant gratification type stuff, because I don't feel like get a lot of that instant gratification with anything I do with work. It's kind of slow, long play stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's person by person.
Yes, but I do need that kind of thing too. So sometimes that is almost restful for me, if you will. I don't know.
Well, and back to the lumberjack thing, I think it's like, so it's different for all of us. But the biggest point is to make sure you're sharpening your tools, both
Yes.
for work and spiritually. Time both together, but like, I think it's important to, when you are busy with kids, the job, everything going on, it's where, like, frankly, you've had to teach me some of this. Like, vacations can be important.
Yes.
Even if you think, like,
we have too much going on.
Yeah, I don't have time or anything like this. Like, sometimes they're not. Also, sometimes you come back and you're more stressed out. It's knowing when and how, but all different. It all looks differently. But you need a recharge to be able to be giving your all,
Yeah.
at work, at home, and spiritually.
And I think that's what you have to evaluate sometimes is like, okay, um, for example, we've talked a lot about how the storm did some damage to our property.
Yes.
And for several weeks there, I felt like our property was in shambles. And it was just the pure existence
Yeah.
of the branches and stuff was like stressing me out.
Yeah, forget even doing anything with them.
Yeah.
Just knowing they
So
were there.
I literally like that's a moment where I needed a vacation,
Right.
meaning to vacate.
Yes.
And so those are some of the times that like even a simple weekend trip to Lake Somerville can be helpful for us to
Yeah.
recharge because you come back and you're like, I love this place, you
Yeah.
know, just after 2 days gone. And then I think there's other days where maybe it's nothing like that is maybe nothing within your, you know, physical atmosphere, if you will, that's stressing you out, but maybe it's work, or maybe you just haven't been able to connect with your kids enough because of work or whatever it may be, and you have to evaluate the type of rest that you need
Mm-hmm.
for that to fulfill that. And maybe it is that, maybe that is just when you want to have a lazy Sunday and you know, be present with your kids and not worry about whether the yard needs weed eating or whatever, but you can just be at the house, hang out with your kids, reconnect. So I think like we just have to be aware of when like what part of our life we're neglecting or what part of our life
Yeah.
we are not as sharp with. um, and then also just aware of the seasons. Like right now, we are in a very busy, non-routine oriented
Yeah,
season,
that's
and
also throwing
I
us
think
off.
that's what
This
it
is the
what
first time we've done summer without hardly any structure, which has
yeah.
been fun.
It has been fun, and I think the boys have enjoyed it, but it also has had it's
It allowed us. I didn't realize how much their structure
oh
I
yeah.
was requiring for my own structure because I have like none now.
Yeah, I know. And it's we've lost a lot of our discipline. I think that's
Yeah.
the thing for us that we, you know, we're not starting school back yet, but I do want to have better discipline over the next month as we get ready for
I
school
know.
to start. So that, I mean, it's like you and I were just saying, we've got to get back into working out.
Yeah.
We've got to stop scrolling for as long before we go to bed. Just all those kinds of things that we need to get a handle on to have good rest, as Father said.
Yes.
Did I bring it back there?
I think
Okay.
we'll say we need rest anyways. We're not done yet, so we had to take this to heart.
Yeah.
So we gave ourselves a day off, and we probably still need some more.
Well, and to that point, are we wrapping it up here?
I think so. Yeah. I mean,
Have we rambled
we can
long
go
enough?
around in a circle again and talk about it. I think everyone gets the point. Put the phone down mainly.
Yeah, mainly the point is put the phone down, and then also maybe you know, evaluate the things that are overstimulating you and maybe causing you to be maxed out when it comes time to spend time with the things that really do matter, like spending time with God and or your family and kids.
Yeah, that, and I know it was for sure probably the Lenten episode, and then maybe even when we did the phone one, or probably like six other episodes included. But when we put, like, I'm challenging myself right now of like, okay, I'm gonna put the phone down more, or even, you know, allow work things to settle and shut off, you know,
Right.
when work's over, not carry it home. But, you know, then you're creating a void, and I know we
That's a
talked
good
about
point.
this now. What are you going to fill that void with? And like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I realized, like, oh man, I'm really shortchanging this morning and evening prayer I'm doing. And so it's like, well, let me lengthen that out. Doesn't have to take the whole amount of time I scroll, but let me start putting some positive things in there, because I think that will help structure. Look, some people are different. We're very structured and disciplined people. It's either all or we're just in a state of
Off the
chaos
tracks,
like
I
we are
guess.
now.
Yeah.
But anyways, yes, that's my synopsis.
Your synopsis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so to this point, though, we were talking. So next week, let's get to what we have coming up.
I have no idea.
Next week, we have the listener's choice episode coming up, which I'm really excited about. I have
Cool.
it narrowed down to, I think, 8 topics. I'm going to let you review them after this. I have them kind of bracketed out.
All right.
And the voting will start, I guess, yeah, it has to really start tomorrow so we can get through it all, give you guys time to vote and see what the winners of the brackets are, move on, and until we have a winner. So that will be coming up. We've got some good suggestions that we're throwing out there, and they're all very different, so that's cool. And then that episode will air next Sunday night, early Monday morning. And so after that, I'm thinking that we're going to take a break for a little bit.
Thank you. I need it.
No, really.
Our goal had been 20, and where are we at? Like 26?
I have no idea. I've lost track.
Something
But
like that.
we've
I
been
was
going.
like, when we started, I was like, let's do 20 and then take a break. And then we didn't.
Yeah, we didn't. We're in a good,
well, it was fun.
good stride, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some good stuff coming up. And we're not going to take a long break. Just, I think, maybe to get through August. And we may do some little fun things between now and then, but I'm not committing to anything.
Yeah.
The point is, I think we all have stuff in August. Well, at least we do. We have something every weekend in August.
That was the other thing that spurred this. We have something every weekend.
Every weekend in August.
September's probably not much better, but at least we will hopefully be recharged by then.
Well, yeah, and kids are going to start school mid-August, so that's going to be a whole thing, a whole adjustment period, and everybody's, or most people are dealing with something like that with summer. I don't know. I guess it's not coming to an end yet, but we're getting there. So figured we might take August off. Maybe not wholly. We'll see.
Yeah,
but
we'll play it by ear.
The other thing is we've got a lot of episodes we put out there, and so that'll give people a chance to catch up with us if they've missed a week here and there, maybe for their own vacations or this and that. So
yeah, and continue to send us any ideas.
Yeah, no, and I'll still be I'll still be on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram's not shutting down.
The Instagram, we'll keep it going. Yeah, well, we can't take a break from that.
Contrary to what we just said.
No, but we'll continue to pick y'all's brains on Instagram and put some stuff out there. See what we want to do next, but that'll give us time to recharge and get the next set of episodes. Because up until this point, I've been pretty scheduled, even though I haven't necessarily followed my own schedule.
A lot better, though.
Yeah. Haven't always followed the schedule to a T, but I have been fairly scheduled, and I'm coming to the end of that because I haven't spent a lot of time getting ahead of ourselves, staying a few steps ahead like I was. So this will give me a chance to catch up and get some of those guests lined up for future episodes, because I do like to give lead time for those, and lately I've not been great about that. So We'll get back on top of that. We'll get a schedule out, and we'll be back.
Awesome. Well, I hope y'all have enjoyed our rest ramblings and take something
Literally,
out
that
of this.
that may need to be the
rest
title
ramblings.
of this.
Yep, just found it right there. That's how this works. So, if you were in church this Sunday, maybe you got a piece out of it too. If not, hopefully we did a decent job.
Maybe we at least resonated some thought with you.
But yeah, so now that we have unpacked rambling rest.
Okay.
It sounds terrible. Now that we have unpacked rest, are we doing it right?
Yeah.
You go discuss.